Hello everybody, welcome to the Empower Series Online. My name is Clifton Ellis Johnson. I'm the founder of the Empower Series Incorporated, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization brought to you by the generous donations of Comerica Bank, AE Media Group, and you, so thank you. If you want to find out more about the Empower Series, visit us on our website, which is www.empowerseries.com. Since you're on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to our channel and hit the little bell that notifies you when we upload videos. And since you're online, go ahead and follow us on all of our social media accounts. So like us, share us, comment, don't keep us a secret. Today we pre-recorded our program. Our guest is Yohance. He's the founder and CEO of Scrip Wealth Management. He's a really good friend of mine, and he's going to step us through a conversation that he would have with a client on goal setting. He took my general goals through a process to help me become more specific and more measurable and action-bound with my goals. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and learn how to keep our goals alive with Yohance. Yohance, this is a long time coming, so finally, welcome to the Empower Series Online.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So glad to be here with you on this cold winter's eve.
Right. Well, that all depends on where you are. Too.
Well, I think I'm right down the street from you. Well, that's true, because north side of Dallas will be ice, and south side we out here in t-shirts.
Right, and then if you're on the East Coast, you're really freezing.
That's true. That's true.
Versus California. Hey man, but it's been a long time coming. I know we've known each other since 2004, so that's like the clock is ticking, man.
Hey, no, I'm frozen in time. I'm going to be 40 for the next 10 years. A goal.
Hey, but hey, even though time has moved on, we haven't. So, but you're doing a lot of great things. So you not only have your own, you're the founder and CEO of the Scrip Wealth Management, but you and your wife has started another company as well, right? The Scrip, is that it?
That is true. So we have Scrip Wealth Management, which is a registered investment advisory firm that I'm the founder and CEO of. We work with about a couple of hundred families across the United States, helping them just make better decisions with their money, $1 at a time, one day at a time. I pride myself on being able to help families increase their net worth. I mean, we have a goal. We want to double and triple the amount of our clients' net worth. So the people that are working, we want them to double and triple their net worth, because we know if they do that, that means they're reaching their goals. And of course, there's a benefit to that for me as an entrepreneur. By helping other people, I'm able to also do well myself. And so with that, we decided to give back, and by creating the Money Script. And the purpose of the Money Script is to increase the financial literacy of the Black and Brown and Indigenous people of these United States and all across the world, really. We're learning is that financial principles are universal. So it's not just what they're getting. It's not just here in the U.S. I mean, it's everywhere. People want to learn how to make better steps with their money. So that's what the Money Script is. So we have our podcast. We have financial information that we like to give out. We do money dates, and we do a lot of fun stuff, just helping people to become more aware of their finances and make better financial decisions.
Okay, well, man, you know what? I think a lot of what you're talking about and what your mission is with the Money Script is the same as the Empower Series. And with us both having financial advising experience in giving people who have wealth and the resources to really take action on our recommendations, sound advice to increase their net worth, we believe that information is still valuable for everyone, even someone who may not have the resources that the high net worth individuals that we work with have. And so I like the fact that you are really committed in providing that information to communities who normally don't have access to it, so that they can also increase their financial literacy, their net worth, and their ability to achieve their financial goals. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about some today.
Man, let's get into it. I'm excited. Let's impact some people.
Well, you know what's interesting though is I remember we did a program recently, and it's amazing how many people have this mindset or this apprehension to just talking to a financial advisor. Have you found that to be true too?
Oh, more often than not. And here's what's funny about it. It doesn't matter how much money they have or don't have. The apprehension is still there. Because there's this rawness, there's this nakedness to it of I'm going to expose, my innermost secrets. I mean, I work with clients, and I find out that their their habits and their passions and their flaws can all be found on their bank statement. Okay.
Dude, my pastor said this one time. He said, if you really want to know somebody, just see where they spent their money for the past 12 months. All will be revealed when you look at it from that perspective, right?
It will. And that's one of the most joyous parts of what we're able to do for people through a financial planning process, no matter how much money they have. And that's why I take a lot of pride in saying, look, you don't have to have a lot of money to sit down and talk finance. And the other thing is, actually, I'll say it's twofold. The first one is, yes, there's this apprehension of exposing themselves. The other apprehension is exposing that they don't know what they don't know, which some people aren't okay with that yet. I mean, I'm still okay with the fact that, yeah, there's a lot of things I still don't know. And there's something I don't even know that I don't know them until you show them to me, like, oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting. But that lack of education sometimes brings about more fear and apprehension of, I don't understand how stocks work, or I don't understand how mutual funds work, or they're just going to try to, sell me something or something like that. And I didn't even say anything there. I just said something, but you fill in the blank. They're going to sell you a life insurance policy or an investment strategy that they're not familiar with. And so that fear gets built in as well. But, there's a lot of things, Clifton, that we can do as financial advisors, that have nothing to do with investing. Nothing at all. I have clients, actually today, I did an entire session, an hour session with a client. We didn't talk about investments once. Not once. Because we were focused on the parts of their finances that everyone's affected by. And it's those core components, those foundational areas of finances. That's where the money is even made available to invest. Okay, we have to start with some of those areas first. So if you're okay with it, I'd like to actually try something out on you. Let's see if we can have like a financial planning conversation, just for the next few minutes, and just not talk about investments at all. Let's see what we can do. Are you ready?
Okay, yeah, let's do that. And here's the other thing too. So we both have a mutual friend in Dr. Dennis Kimbro, right?
Yes.
So Dr. Dennis Kimbro said a number of times, he said, man, from his book, wealth begins in the mind, but ends in the purse.
Absolutely. Yes, indeed.
So to your point, we're going to have a financial planning conversation, not really dealing with investments initially, but really just dealing first off with what's your mindset? What are your goals? What are the things that you envision? And that, shouldn't be tied to investing in money yet. You need to get very clear on what your goals are, because if you don't have goals, then we can't really sit down and start creating a plan for how you can get there. So yeah, definitely let's go at it, Yohance. You lead me through the process.
Well, here's the beauty of this. I don't know how much you want to timestamp this or not, but we are approaching the new year. I don't know if this will be aired in the new year, but we're approaching there. So we're almost there. So it's new. Everything is new. Everything is fresh. People are talking about New Year's resolutions, probably in a way they never talked about New Year's resolutions before. Because last year we were planning trips to Jamaica and all the fun things we were going to do over the summer. And then, well, we know what happened all across the world. So I think people are going into January 2021 thinking about their resolutions a little bit differently. So let's talk about just financial goals. And Clifton, I want to keep it super simple. I want just the bare basics of goals. So it's January 1st, or not even January 1st, it's January 2021, or whenever you're listening to or watching this, it is today. And there is going to be a year from now in the future. So we're going to play January to January. So Clifton, January to January, what is one or two things you'd like to see happen differently in your finances?
Okay, well, there could be a number of things. Number one is I want to make sure that I have more liquidity, like more money in cash, so that if I need to write a big check for something, I can do so, whether that's for a car or an emergency. So I want to have more in cash, and I can get very specific about that. I also have some debt that I want to reduce. I want to eliminate completely, but I've got some debt given some past things that I went through. So I want to make some significant progress in reducing my debt burden. And I also want to just put more money away for my retirement as well. So those are three easy ones that are financial related. The other thing I think, just from a knowledge perspective, I want to know more. And another speaker, Dr. George Fraser, talked about relationships. And he said that relationships is a function of people coming into your life and doing either one of four things. Either they are adding, subtracting, dividing, or multiplying. And he doesn't understand why people will spend time with people who are subtracting from their lives, you're subtracting from theirs, and you just have division. So I want to improve my relationships with people who are doing great things and that will be able to stretch my mindset to help me raise my game. So I would say those are the four things that I would like to do.
Oh man, I'm going to add to my list. I want Dr. George Fraser on my podcast. Dr. George Fraser, the Money Script podcast is coming to you soon. Oh my goodness.
Into existence, right?
Yes, put in that existence right now. Let me tell you, you said relationships. I've shared a similar anecdote with people in the past that all the relationships that you have, they're like a bank account. It's a series of deposits and withdrawals. And if you haven't made enough deposits, then when you go to make a withdrawal, then you might overdraw that bank account, and that can be painful. They like to send bank accounts send you fees. They might even just turn your account off. But the way you just said it, I had fun saying it that way for years. But what Dr. George Fraser said you said adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing. Man, that took my mathematical brain to a whole nother place. Thank you for that. I can't wait to hear that from Dr. Fraser so then I can say it as eloquently as you did. All right. So Clifton, you spotted out some goals. You said more liquidity, reducing debt and paying off some debt, having more for retirement, and just knowing more, pouring into your education, your own personal development, which I think that needs to be the foundation of any financial plan that you put in place is educating yourself more about your money. Okay. Everybody should have a goal of learning more about how some part of their financial relationship works, whether it's, how do you know what order your bank takes debits and credits out of your bank account? That's something you can research. You can find out from your bank what they post first. Okay. Because we probably at some point in our lives, I'll admit it, I did. You had that one time where the big check came out for the rent, but because it came out, all the other little checks didn't come out. You're like, why did y'all hit me with 17 overdraft charge? Why did you just not pay the rent?
Yeah.
And then pay all the other ones? They're like, oh, well, we post the largest items first. Oh, do you? Okay. But once I knew that information, I was much more careful about making sure that A, I didn't have everything coming out at the same time, and B, there was always enough money, backup money, et cetera. But that's for another time. So knowing more, Clifton, I would say that you should definitely make that a goal, and maybe breaking down those 2 or 3 things you want to learn more about. And as a financial advisor, let's say you and I were having this financial advisor and prospect conversation. I'm going to say to you, sign me up as one of those individuals that can help me know more. And you know what, Clifton, no matter what happens in our conversation today, my podcast is free. You can go listen to that podcast on any platform, and that will help you get closer to that goal. But let's dive in. If we could only pick one of those 3 that was most important, more liquidity, reducing debt, or more for retirement, which one would it be?
So, man, those are tough ones, dude. So they're all important. They're all going to be accomplished this year. But from a priority perspective, I believe liquidity is important. So if I can manage my cash flow to the extent that I can put money into a reserve and keep it there, then I think that will allow me to do multiple things. I can put more money into retirement at the end of the year. I can also put more money towards my debt reduction. So the first goal I would say is increasing my liquidity.
All right. So more liquidity is your number one. Okay. So if you had to put a number to that more liquidity, so 1 year from now, we're fast forwarding January 2021, it's January 2022. Put a number to that more liquidity. You wake up January 1st, 2022, you roll over, you say, I'm not going to touch the cell phone just yet. But you roll over, your feet hit the floor, and right as your feet hit the floor, a vision of your bank account pops in your head. What number do you see?
So I want to have $15,000 more by the end of the year than I have now. That's on top of what I already have. So I would say that would be ideal situation if I can get $15,000 more.
Okay. Now, to have $15,000 more, there's a number of different ways you could do this. You could go buy some lottery tickets, scratch them off, see what happens.
Dude, have you seen Mega Million? The
I
jackpot?
heard it's getting big. That's what I heard. Whenever that happens, I tend to start tweeting every now and then. If you're looking for a financial advisor, I know a good one. Okay, so you could win the lottery. You could steal it. It's probably not a good idea. There's some repercussions of that. You could work more. You could spend less. You could find additional sources of income. Okay, so there's a lot of things you can do to come up with this additional $15,000. Have you put any thought into what you will need to do in order to have $15,000 more in the next year?
Yeah, so three things, man. Number one is stick to my budget and my
Okay.
spending plan. So saving a fixed amount every month is part of the plan, right? Number two, it's looking at where I'm spending money that is wasteful, which is for me eating out a lot. I spend almost like I spend almost 500 or more a month that is unnecessary when it comes to eating prepared foods. Just to let you know how much I'm spending now.
I need to start eating out with you. All right.
This is becoming too revealing.
Oh.
And then I would say, thirdly, so another thing that Dr. George Fraser said is that we should all have multiple sources of income.
Okay.
And so there are some additional sources of income that I could execute on that can help me achieve that goal. So those are the three things: just saving consistently, not wasting money on spending out or eating out, and then also executing my additional source of income to get to my $15,000.
Okay, so I am a mathematician by trade, so I'm gonna do some quick back of the napkin math here. $15,000. You want to make that happen within 12 months. If we do some quick math here, it's about $1,250 a month. I think that might be the number actually it might be it. It's close. Okay. So here's a question, a tough question for you. Is if I told you starting next month, you need to save $1,250 a month, could you do it in month one?
That would be tight. So I would say that would not be realistic.
Okay.
Let's say that I'm going to begin with saving $250 for the first quarter. And by June, I'm going to be saving $500 a month. But $250 is what I'm going to start with for the first 6 months, and then $500 for the next 6 months when it comes to just me saving from eating out. When it comes to my monthly savings, I can save easily $500 a month, no matter what.
Okay. So that means within the next 6 months, you'll probably be about 30-40% of goal. You won't quite make it halfway to your goal because of the stair stepping you're doing there.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what, Clifton, I'm confident that if you and I were to spend some time together and go through your budget, I'm confident we could probably find ways where maybe you could free up a little bit more money. And who knows? I don't know what that is yet because I haven't seen what your expenses are, but I'll just throw some things out there. I was with a client last week and I said, hey, open up you have an iPhone? She said, yes. I said, open up your iPhone. And I took her to the receipts section of her iPhone. And she went into the receipts and she was like, what is all of this? Well, she has multiple children. Turns out her kids have been buying things on her iPhone and she didn't realize all the different services she was paying for. And it was almost $70 a month. Okay. That created a real conversation. In going through her expenses, we didn't just look at last month. I looked at the last 6 months and I was like, well, look at these spending excursions that you did. Oh, well, this was this and that was this and that was this. I was like, okay, yeah, that's going to happen. You have kids. I get it. Okay, but we can be a little bit more planful about this because when you're setting an audacious goal, Clifton, you're trying to make a radical change in your finances to increase your savings by almost 100%. Actually, more. You're trying to increase your monthly savings from $500 a month up to $1,250 a month. That's
Yeah,
going to take some dramatic change in some of your habits. My role as your financial advisor, Clifton, is to help keep you on track for that, because you told me how important it is for you to have this liquidity. You said if you need to buy a car, and I know as a father, sometimes you have that car may not be for you. You may have to buy a car because you just gave away the car you have. Okay.
yes,
I get it. Okay. But you want to know that if that happens, you've got the liquidity to write that check. And I'm going to need you to hold on to that value, to that desire that you want. And when I see your finances acting out of order or not in alignment with that goal of getting to that 1250 a month, do I have your permission to correct you?
for sure, man. So that's important. And so let's kind of stop there for a second, because we can always find buddies or friends who say, hey, man, let's go to a happy hour. Let's go watch this game. Let's go spend some money that is not directed towards our goal. But it goes back to relationships and having people around you that's going to hold me true to my word. So it's not really holding me accountable, but it's just saying, if I'm telling you, Yohance, that I want to save $15,000 by the end of the year, and I've mapped out my plan, that means it means I got to eat less, like not waste money, and I share that with you. A true friend is going to hold me accountable to my word, and that is important. So I would say, yeah, man, you got my permission.
So Clifton, what we just did is I walked through a value proposition that a financial advisor can provide, because there are financial advisors that all they specialize in are the people that have $1 million plus. Yes, there are financial advisors out there like that. There's also just financial coaches, people that don't even have all the different credentials of a financial advisor, but they can help you on something as simple as budgeting and hold you accountable. But guess what? The conversation that Clifton and I just had, yeah, I did a little bit of math, but that's something that your brother, your sister, your friend, your neighbor, someone that loves you and has a vested interest of you being on this planet can hold you accountable to something just like that, just like Clifton said. Okay. We encourage, this is something that Alicia and I came up with. Actually, I lied. We didn't come up with it, but we've been acting like we did. We call it the money date. It's for couples. It's for
Oh
couples to
yeah.
sit down and have this conversation about what are your financial goals? What do you want to do? How can we work together to make this happen? And I like to share a lot that I had a very bad Starbucks habit a long time ago, really bad one. I'm talking 4, 5, 6, 7 times a week, sometimes twice in one day. Okay. And I looked up over time. I'm like, whoa, I'm giving Starbucks like $300-400 a month. I've gone back, by the way, and did the math to say if I were buying Starbucks stock with that, I'd be in a different place right now. But I was just giving that money to Starbucks. And there was nothing more important to me that was making me do something different until Alicia and I sat down and had the conversation. And she was like, well, you're doing what? And she's like, do you know how many pairs of shoes that is? I was like, wait a minute. We're not even going to talk about your shoe budget right now. We're talking about Starbucks. Okay. But what I needed was something to help hold me accountable. And she became that individual. Okay. And
Well, man, let me ask you this though.
yeah,
I'm sure you sat down with people who can't even tell you where their money went. So what about even backing up and saying, okay, what type of system is in place to track the money that's coming in and going out? How have you helped people do that?
yeah. It's funny you asked that, because it can be very difficult today because we're in an age of making of increasing access to money, because that's another thing. There's some people that maybe listen to your show that they're known as the unbanked, meaning they don't have a regular relationship with their bank, or the only relationship they have with their bank is to cash their check and then take the cash home and then they spend it from there. So without
Exactly.
having those relationships with the banks and institutions, it can be difficult to track cash. You have to keep a journal of some sort. And for those people that live in cash, and forgive me, I've got a new puppy on my lap, and she's I'm on puppy duty right now. She's moving around a little bit and she has a bell on, so sorry about that. But if you don't have those relationships with banks, then you're not going to be able to track that without having some sort of journal or keeping a diary that says, okay, how much money did I spend? And you're going to have to do that on a daily basis. For those of us
Mhm.
that are banked, some of us are overbanked. We've got Zelle and Cash App and PayPal and a credit card and a checking account and savings account and the other account that I don't tell my wife about, because if she knew about it, she'd buy some shoes with it. We have all these different accounts. You
Right.
have to just submit. You have to. You don't have a choice if you want, because our brains can't handle that much information. You're going to have to submit to some sort of application that will help pull all of those numbers together into one place. And there's apps out there that are free, like mint.com. Anyone can go set up an account at mint.com. If you want to go to moneyscriptwealth.com, I can give you access to another one that you get a little bit more help on. There's others. Google has one. I can't think of the name of. Actually, it's probably Google something. There's in Google Sheets. So if you're in Excel, you know how to use Excel. Google Sheets is a version of that. There is an app that you can download from Google that will allow you to connect your bank accounts and pull all your transactions in, so you can sort them. Now, if you're one of those individuals, or maybe you just have one banking relationship, let's say with a Wells Fargo or Bank of America or Union Bank or any of the big banks that are out there, most of them have a tool where you can go in and look and see where your spending has happened over the past 3, 6, 9, 12, even sometimes years worth of that data is all there, so you can go and look at it and have some real conversations with yourself. And I beg you, when you sit down to do it the first time, if you have to, pour yourself something sweet to drink in case you need it, because you might. And just before you go in, just say out loud, I forgive myself for the money I've already spent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you might be one bag that's sitting there at the foot of the bed where you're like, I think I'm going to take that back. Yeah, maybe you can take that back and get your money back. But that expensive dinner that you got a month ago, you already flushed that down the toilet. Okay. You're not getting that back. So just forgive yourself for the stuff you already flushed down the toilet, or the stuff that you've already wasted money on. You can't get that back. What you do get to do is start making better decisions going forward, but you have to have a method that you can track it, and so that you can go back and look at it and review it as you're working on doing better. So back to my Starbucks really quick. What I had to do with myself is just say, I'm not going to go to Starbucks until X. So I started off on Monday morning. Usually I would walk past Starbucks on the way to the office. They made it so easy. I said, I'm not going to go to Starbucks until Wednesday. So Tuesday, walk right past as well. And guess what I did on Wednesday? I went into Starbucks. I needed it. Okay. And then before
Yeah.
you knew it, it was just like weaning off of any other addiction over time. And that addiction of spending money, to some people, it can be as bad as some of the other addictions out there. If you're just used, it's the habitual part of our mind. But before you knew it, I was down to once a week. And that's where I've been ever since. I'm still a once a week Starbucks kind of guy. Now, by the way, the amount that I spend at Starbucks at one time did increase, because now when I go, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get the bigger coffee, and I'm
Gotta
gonna
get
get
it all
that little
in.
thing right there, and string cheese. Why not? I'm here. There's string cheese. It seems like a good idea. I'll eat it while I'm waiting for you to prepare whatever already has cheese on it that I just ordered. So, but that's the game I had to play with myself so that I could get into a position where I'm not spending $300 a month in Starbucks. Okay.
Hey man, but I think it's a good thing that you said you mentioned these different systems that people can use. My daughter, who's an artist, when it comes to managing her money, she has to write it down, because for her, there's something about pen to paper, seeing it and writing it down that makes sense for her. But then for my son, he uses an Excel worksheet, and even with me, there's Quicken.
You can use that to track
Okay.
your money there. You mentioned QuickBooks. There is still a personal version of QuickBooks. You are correct. In every computer that I know of comes loaded. Apple computers has numbers. Your Microsoft computers, if they don't have Excel, they will have Google Sheets. They all have financial apps in them. And if you don't know if you're afraid of Excel, go to YouTube and type in Excel for Dummies. Okay. It doesn't mean that you're a dummy. It just means they wrote it so that in case you're a dummy, you'll be able to understand it. Y'all, that's how I learned Excel back in the day.
Yeah.
And to this day, even though I have a fancy app that I use to track all of my expenses, I still put everything in Excel. And part of that's just
So so
habit.
so for those people who are not really into numbers, or numbers is not like really sexy to them, back to the conversation that you have with a financial advisor that doesn't really deal with investing. The biggest part of that is having goals, because you asked me what my goals were. And going back, I'm going to keep quoting Dr. Dennis Kimbrough. He said one time that when you go to bed at night, what is the last vision you have in your mind? And he says it better be the achievement of your goals. So having goals is critically important, and believing in the achievement of those goals is also very important, even if you may not be at the present moment able to save the exact amount of money that will help you reach it. It's very important that you have goals and you believe that you can achieve it, and you envision yourself doing that as well. So do you get into those kind of conversations with your clients at all,
I
Yohance?
I just told a client today, one of my recommendations was to do a vision board.
Mm.
That was my recommendation. That is what that client pays almost $200 a month for my services for, was to tell her, her recommendation was, you get to do a vision board. Okay. And she was like, you're right. I really should. I should do a video. That is what I need to do, because I'm not sure what I want. And I really need to figure out what I want. I'm like, yeah, because saving all this money, and she's doing well. She's doing okay. I was like, saving all this money means nothing if you don't know what you want.
Right.
Figure out what it is that you want, write it down, and then share it with someone. I can be that person if that's what you need me to be. Share with me what those goals are, not just the financial goals, like you said, the relationship goals. Who do you want to spend more time with? How do you want to spend that time? What do you want to do with it? What does it mean to you? And then let's set up a plan that says, here's how you're going to execute. And once we have the plan of execution, we go back and say, okay, let's put some checkpoints in. So your accountability person, accountability buddy, as I like to call them, can come and say, hey, how are you doing on that goal that you set? And if you're someone that needs rewards and punishments, give yourself rewards and punishments associated with that goal, so that you have something to look forward to, something to celebrate, or if you needed, something to avoid. And have it in a place where you can be reminded. Clifton, right now, if I look over your head, I'm looking at my vision board on my wall.
Yeah.
It's my vision board from 2020. The best of 2020 is what it says. Growth, everything to prove. Get certified, add a credential. I got my BFA credential this year. That was on my vision board that I put together in January. When I learned about Kobe Bryant, I was doing this vision board. While we're doing the vision boards, when everyone's phone, I was at a vision board party. Yes, I am a grown ass man, pardon my French. I'm a grown man, and I go to vision board parties with my wife, and I'll be one of maybe 5 or 6 men in the room and have an absolute ball and love putting things on this vision board. Okay. I've had so many vision boards where there's things on it every now and then. I'll go back and I'll look and be like, oh, I forgot I set that goal. I set a goal of losing 11 pounds this year. I lost 19. It's on my vision board. Okay. That's how much I believe in the goal planning process. My wife and I did a joint vision board 5 years ago. We came to Dallas. We visited some neighborhoods that were being built, because we were looking to move from California to Dallas. And we went to this one neighborhood. There's this one builder that was building neighborhoods, and we took some of the booklets with us that had the designs of the houses. We cut out one of those designs and we put it on our vision board. Okay.
Yeah.
We bought a house 2 years later. That vision board ended up, not in the trash, but in a pile somewhere, something that was probably going to be trash. As we were moving, we pull out that vision board and we look at the vision board and we look at a picture of the house on Zillow. The outer frame of the house was the exact same as what was on the vision board. And we didn't buy a house we did end up buying a house by the same builder and didn't even realize it. We looked, was like, wait, who built our house? I was like, oh, wow. It's that same builder, and we bought a house that was built in 2005, not something brand new, but it was, the outside picture was the same as the vision board, down to the driveway, to the tree, to the front door, to the number of windows. It's like, how did that happen? It's because every day we were waking up, looking at that house and saying that's what we wanted, and we were putting steps in place so that we could make that a possibility. The power of goal planning will change your life. And especially if you're able to add those other things on the end of it, where, okay, you set goals, you write them down or type them out or paint them, whatever it is you have to do, create a vision board, have what your goals are, share them with someone that you love. Say, I want to sit down and share my goals with you. You might inspire them to write down their own goals as well. Great. That's 2 people winning. Okay. And say, let's meet once a month, once a quarter, whatever it takes. And let's talk about our progress towards these goals. Help hold me accountable. Okay. And by doing those things, I found that you can live a much more productive life. Now, will things happen? Yes. And we're talking about some of those second half of our show. But yes, sometimes things happen, but you make a plan around those too.
So, man, you make a good point. So, first off, meeting with a financial advisor is valuable. You get more value out of sometimes conversations that are not related to finances or investment strategies, but just being very clear on what your end game is and what you can do to really increase the success subconsciously of you achieving that goal, which is what you're talking about. And what we did with my goal is we basically broke it down from savings. We would do the same thing if I wanted to reduce my debt. It would be, what is the ideal reduction of debt I would like by the end of 12 months? And then how would I be paying off my debt to get there? As well as whether it's putting more money into my 401k for retirement. And even if it's about putting myself in new circles or meeting new people. So what am I specifically going to do to put myself in new environments or to identify the kind of people I want to be around? And what am I going to do strategically to put myself in those new situations, right?
Indeed, every single day, because you have to you, you have to continue to think about where is it you see yourself in the future, and we make small incremental changes right now to get us there. But if we don't have our eye on the future and we're just always looking down or looking back, then it becomes very hard for us to psych ourselves into knowing that tomorrow can be a better day, but we're going to have to work for it today. So yes.
Okay. And I guess the time to start doing that is like now o'clock. So
Yeah, I
whatever
mean, you
time it is,
just missed it. It was it's coming around again right
it's
now. Here
now,
you go. Right now. Right now. So as you're listening, so right now, actually, that's why I same way I do on the podcast. I tell people on the podcast, hit the pause button. Pause right now. Take a minute, pull out your calendar in your phone, or pull out a piece of paper and just set some quick goals for yourself. One of those goals is come back to revisit my goals, where you can actually set aside. And when you do goal planning, you really want to set aside a good 45 minutes to an hour, maybe 90 minutes max, to really just sit with yourself and your thoughts and be able to pin out what your goals are. Because some of the goals you're going to write down and you're going to go back and be like, hey, I'm not doing that. That's not really a goal. That's just a dream. But you want goals. And there's another resource for you. Please put this in the show notes: SMART goals.
oh yeah,
Want
yeah.
to have SMART goals. That's actually what Clifton and I just did. We do it all the time, so I didn't say that going into it. But what I did with Clifton is I went through a SMART goal structure, which stands for specific, measurable, actionable. What's the R? And time bound, realistic and time bound. There
Realistic.
you go. Realistic
Yeah,
and time
realistic.
bound. What Clifton and I discovered, and you notice if you go back and listen again, and don't edit this out, Clifton. Clifton got quiet for a moment. There was a moment of silence there because I called out to him. I said, "Hey, that's going to be $12.50 a month you need to save." And he's a mathematician too. He's doing some math. He's like, "Okay, 12. Okay, that's a tall order." And I could see him doing the math. He's like, "Okay, here's how I can see that happening." Okay. But you need somebody to help challenge you on that so that you can drill that goal down to something that is more realistic and that is time bound. That's going to increase your likelihood of taking action, because
Mhm.
Clifton could really easily get to the end of January. It's like, oh, dang, I was supposed to save 15,000. Oh man, that's 1250. I don't have 1250. All right, I'm just going to save this 500. And then it becomes, as Langston Hughes refers to, a dream deferred, and you
Yeah.
just keep deferring and deferring and deferring that dream. And last thing on this goals thing, when it comes to setting those goals, um, I shared with everyone. I said, okay, wherever you are when you're listening to this, if it's February, look 12 months from February. We were saying January to January. You want to put an end date on that goal.
Hmm.
I encourage you, do not set a goal that says, in 1 year I want to buy a car, because tomorrow when you wake up, you don't want to buy a car in 1 year. You want to buy a car in 364 days. In 6 months from now, you can't still be saying, I want to buy a car next year or in a year, because that's now 18 months from the time that you set the goal. I want to buy a car in January 2021. Boom, draw the line in the sand, figure out a pathway, work your way backwards, figure out, okay, what do I need to do tomorrow? Because tomorrow's coming. Okay. It's coming just like the next moment in this session. And when it gets here, what did you do yesterday to get you closer to that goal? Because the goal is getting closer, but are you getting closer to it?
You know what's interesting, Yohance, is that you're mentioning something. I just picked up a book last weekend by an author named Sarah Knight. So she wrote a book entitled "You Do You," and then she also wrote this book called, "Get Your S Together."
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. No, I was like, she sounds familiar.
Yeah.
My wife has that book sitting on her. It's on. She has a little mini bookshelf by her. Yeah, yeah. That's yeah. I've seen that. I was like, the name
But what
sounds
I like
familiar.
about her story is that she felt that, going to work was just like killing her soul. And she wanted to do something different, but she didn't have the money to do it initially. She had to save up some money. When she looked at how much she needed to save, there was no way she could get that saved up within a short time period. So it took a year. And so what she did is she divided that by 365 days. And she made a little chart and she said, well, but if I take that total amount and I just divided it by 365, those are smaller chunks and I can do that on a daily basis. So every day she just put a red check when she was able to save and do a transfer of the small dollar amount to achieve her annual goal. That's just a simple example of how you might take a year goal and you break it down to bite-sizable achievements and you just keep track of it and hold yourself accountable. So whether
Little.
it's that or whether it's writing a book, how many pages, how many words do you need to write a day? And just break it down and do the small pieces every day.
I am human, and I am guilty of these things that I'm telling everyone to do better at. I'm guilty of it. For 3 years, I said I should start a podcast. And I kept saying to myself, maybe I'll start my podcast this year. Maybe I'll do my podcast this year. It was on the goal list. It was like, oh, start a podcast, start a podcast, start a podcast. But until I said, I'm going to put my first podcast out on MLK Day of 2020. And my
Yeah.
back was up against the wall on the night before. I was like, oh crap, I said I'm going to launch a podcast. I haven't recorded anything. What am I going to do? All right, well, let me turn the microphone on. I got the equipment. I got everything I need. Here we go. And boom. Now we're 37, 38 episodes in. But I had to draw that line in the sand and say, okay, all right, I'm doing the podcast. And this is it. This is the day. It's going to happen on this day. Now, I said that. I didn't say that in January 2020. I wound up saying it at the end of 2019. I was reviewing my goals and I got called out by one of my accountability buddies. And he just flat out said, hey, I'm waiting to be on your podcast, but you haven't sent me an invitation yet. And I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, right.
Like, all right, well, I mean, you know, I'll be here. And I said, you know what? This thing has been on my list for too long. And I looked at where I was and I said, okay, I can figure this out in 90 days. And that 90 day was MLK Day. I was like, all right, that's when the first podcast is going out. From there, I was able to say, okay, over 90 days, what do I need to do to make this happen? It's like, okay, well, I have a laptop. Let me go research. Let me call around to some other people that have podcasts. Like, okay, what type of equipment they're using? They told me, all right, I'm using this. And I interviewed a few people, figured out the equipment I wanted, boom, made the purchase. And I said, all right, now I got to test it out. Tested it out. Okay, great. Next thing you know, it was the only thing that was waiting for me to happen is hit the record button to launch the podcast. That's it. So, but I had to draw that line in the sand. And you got to do that with your financial goals too. And everyone, I want you to know that if you at some point in your life, and there are some of us that are less fortunate than others. So I'm saying that this is an anecdote, but I'm just hear me. You all went through the process of crawling, actually not even crawling, scooting, then crawling, then pulling up on stuff. And then finally you took your first step and then you started to walk. And next thing you know, you were off running. Okay. We all know that process, but not really because we weren't conscious of that process. There's a few of us out there that have had to learn to re-walk again. It's happened. It happened to my sister. She was in a bad car accident. She had to learn to walk again. But for most of us, we went through that process not even knowing all of the things we know now without saying, okay, I'm going to start walking by the time I'm 1.5 years old. Help me, mommy. We're going to keep a chart together. But now we have all the tools that we can do. We are already built with all the tools that we need to know to understand on how to go from a goal that's way up here, how to chunk it all the way down, just like you said, to, okay, what do I need to do first? I got to scoot. If I can just scoot, and I'll start to figure out how these limbs work, and I'll be able to crawl. And next thing you know, I'll gain my balance and I'll stand up, and then I'll take my first step. Financial goals are the same way. If you're trying to build that account, that's what Clifton and I did. He said, I want to increase by $15,000. And he said, I can scoot first. I know I can get that first 500. I can move some things around. I can get it to maybe about 700, 800, 900, maybe 1,000. And then I said, well, Clifton, here's what I can do. I can hold your hand and help guide you to that last $250 to get you to your goal. And most of us as children, when that arm was offered to us to help us walk, we quickly would put our hand out and we'd walk faster than ever. So that's the process I encourage everybody to just go through, especially now as we're coming off this tumultuous year. I mean, this has been a crazy year for a lot of people. And a lot of people had to look at their finances, like stare at them really hard. A lot of us are also getting money that we didn't expect to have. Okay. There's a lot of things. The stimulus was just announced. Some of you, as you're listening to this, the money's just going into your account. Okay. You can make a lot happen with that money or very little. You just got it. What'd you do with it last time? Hopefully it went to a good source, but you can start thinking right now, okay, when that next bit of money comes in, let me look at my goals and see how can this incrementally help get me closer.
So what we just talked about, man, the principle of what we talked about is the key to success in any area of your life. So whether it's financial goals, whether it's relationship goals, your health goals, no matter what it is. And so definitely follow what Yohance is saying. Pause this, look back at it, write down your goals, take notes. This is going to be on YouTube for you to watch over and over again. But one of the other things, Yohance, that I didn't tell you that's a goal of mine that really is not really related to finances, but it's related to the experience that we've all probably been through when someone has passed away. And the family members are coming together to try to go through, their final remains and find out where the statements are and everything. So another goal of mine is to ensure that not only are my final affair documents in order, but my kids and the people who are playing major roles in my estate planning process understand their role before it actually happens. And I think that's critically important because I've gone through that, unfortunately, with my brother who passed away in April of COVID-19. And I see so many other families go through it. I'm sure you've experienced that with your clients. And so I just think it's very important to have those conversations now so that your loved ones are not faced with that initially for the first time when they're going through such emotional grief. So that's another goal of mine.
Clifton, I want to speak on that for a second because there's something I want all of your listeners and viewers here on YouTube to. I'm stuck in podcast world. I keep saying listeners, so I said that before. Viewers, hi. There's something I want everyone to remember out there. There are 4 outcomes that you will be either subject to or maybe you are lucky enough to avoid. And we just got to plan for those 4 outcomes. It doesn't matter who you are, there's 4 outcomes. The worst case scenario is a premature death. That's outcome number 1, that there is a premature death of you, of your spouse, of even a child. Okay. Premature death is an outcome that you can plan for because a mature death is inevitable. Okay. Eventually that's going to happen. So we have to plan for it. We have to plan for it. Okay. Number 2, the second outcome that you could have in life is that you are sick, unhealthy, okay, and you can't work. So if you're unhealthy, expenses go up, you're sick, you're trying to take care of yourself so you get healthy, and you're not working, that means income goes down. Okay. That's an outcome that's possible. Another outcome that's possible is that you are unhealthy, but you're still able to work. Okay. I have lots of clients in that scenario. I had a client that passed away this year as well, not from COVID, right before everything kind of went crazy with COVID. But she did die rather rapidly. Cancer, she beat it before, came back pretty aggressively, and she was gone within a few months. But for most of her life, we were doing financial planning based on her being unhealthy, but still able to work. Okay. And the outcome that we hope that we all get to live in, and a lot of times we skip and gallop around like, oh, these are the good times, it's always going to be this way, is that we stay healthy and we're able to keep working the job that we have and make more and more money each year. Okay. When you have that problem, that's a great problem to have, that you're healthy and you're making money and you're able to pay down your debts and save money. Great. We can talk about investing all day long in that scenario. But even if you're living in that scenario, there's a possibility that any one of those others could affect you. So for those of you that pause the tape to write down your goals, pause again, go back to that list and put on your list of things, plan for the unthinkable.
Yeah.
Okay. The unimaginable. And it's no fun to think about death for a lot of people. Okay. Death, sex, and money, they're all right up there pretty high, the things that people just don't like to talk about. Okay. Well, at least with their kids is the way that story goes. But it can be a difficult conversation to have. But once you're able to have the conversation, figure out where you're exposed, you can put some documents in order so that you reduce the likelihood of a GoFundMe after you've passed away.
Yeah.
I've given to quite a few of them myself. We had some classmates that passed away of COVID over the summer, and there was some GoFundMe in or different whatever organization they were using, and I gave to them because I was like, oh man, that's just horrible. But I mean, real talk, that we shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah.
We should not have to do that. And part of it just comes back to what we talked about earlier, that apprehension of, oh, I don't want to be sold life insurance. Yeah, you do. You do. You know, oh, that attorney's just charged me a bunch of money to write up these documents. Yeah, he is, but for most people, it's a one-time expense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the headache that you save afterwards, oh my gosh. Again, I'm human. My family's not perfect. My my grandfather-in-law, is that how we say that? My wife's grandfather passed away with his will on his desk unsigned.
Yeah.
Okay? I met with him and my grandma-in-law and said, hey, let's do some estate planning. Like, yes, we should do that. We talked to an attorney. Here's the documents. Can you help us look them over? Like, sure. Okay. Yeah, no, you're filling out right. That's perfect. Grandma died unexpectedly. Like, oh, okay, well, granddad, all right, now that she's gone, it's just you. I mean, I'm glad it was just one of you, not both of you. We still have time and we can get everything in order so that it goes to your kids the way that you want it to. Had that conversation with him maybe a couple of months after she passed. Might have been a little, maybe 4 months after she passed. He died, I want to say it was just over a year later. Okay. Maybe a little bit longer. It might have been just 2 years. It wasn't long enough. Okay. And he still did that. When we went to his house, the documents were on his desk, pinned beside it, even some folds and a couple of little post-it notes where he was told he needed to sign. How long it had been sitting there? At least since she passed away and we redid the paperwork. His house was in probate until last year. He died in 2000 and what year is that? 13? My mother in 13. I think, yeah, I want to say 2014. House was
So,
in
Yohance,
probate.
there's probably a lot of stories like that we can come up with, and I guess I don't know. My thought process is that on our show here, before we wrap this up, I want to know what you feel we can do to help encourage people to take action. But before I even ask you that question, I just kind of recap certain things. I think the importance of meeting with a financial advisor is putting some clarity around your goals. And the way we learned how to say that at Ameriprise was to put some structured thought to your finances, right? Was it tracking the income and the outgo of your cash, know what it is? Because without without knowing where your cash is coming from and where it's going, you can't make a sound decision, because that should be the basis of any decision you make. And then looking at the other areas of financial planning, whether that's investment planning, looking at the assets you have and how it's allocated, the risk and return, your life insurance planning, your retirement planning, your your estate planning, right? And I'm trying to did I say everything? Did I say insurance? So I said insurance,
Let me
investment, retirement, estate planning. Help me out. What are
yeah,
the
let me
areas?
help you. Let me make it super simple. Super simple for everyone. Break it down into four basic areas. First area is cash flow and liabilities. Money coming in, money going out, and who do you owe it to? Okay.
Okay.
Area number two is protecting the things you can't afford to lose. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a fancy way of saying insurance. If I walked outside right now and my truck was gone, I'm just going to call the insurance company. I mean, I'm going to call 911 eventually too, but I'm calling insurance company because that's the 911 is not going to give me the money for the truck. My insurance company is. Okay. So protecting things you can't afford to lose. I can't afford to lose my health. I can't afford to lose my money because of my health. So I buy health insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I can't afford to lose my wife. Clifton, I'm here with you and I'm not doing bath time right now. It's bath time.
Hey man, we got to whoa. I don't want to be doing that.
No. I'm talking about bath time for the kids. Okay.
That's what I'm talking about too. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
I
thought you
know.
were saying me and my wife taking a bath. So that'd be nice too.
Dude, that's a
But
whole nother conversation. I
whole
don't want
nother
to even
conversation.
talk
But the
about.
point is, I need life insurance on her because if something were to happen to her, would when am I going back to work? What is the impact
Yeah.
on my children? I don't know. What's the impact on my finances? I don't know, but I will cash that check. I know that. I will
Mm-hmm.
deposit that check. So protection. So that's so number two. So I'm going to do it again. Cash flow and liabilities, money coming in and
Mm-hmm.
out. Who do you owe? Number two, protect the things you can't afford to lose. Okay.
Okay.
Number three is when we start to build. Understand how fixed and equity assets fit into your financial plan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Whether it's for retirement, education planning, or saving for a rainy day, or saving for a new house, or the house itself. That's an asset as well. Understand how fixed and equity assets fit into your financial plan. And
Mm-hmm.
then number three is plan for the things that you cannot change, but wish you had a whole lot of influence and power over. And that is
Yeah.
death and taxes. Okay. We can't control the tax law. They give us, hey, this is what the numbers are this year. They'll give you ways that you can reduce and this and that and the other. But at the end of the day, if you make $100,000 that's taxable, you owe taxes on that $100,000. That's it. Okay. And if they say, oh, just kidding, you don't owe the $100,000 for you guys. Nope, we're going to lower it or increase it. Now you got to make 150 in order to owe that much taxes. Yay, celebrate and alter your plan a little bit. Also understand that you don't know what the taxes are going to be in the future. You don't. We don't know. Will Biden change the tax law? Probably. Will it be in your favor? I don't know. Will he tax the rich? Probably. Will some of that trickle down to you if you're not considered rich? I don't know. Okay. We don't know what the taxes will be in the future. What we do know is what the tax rate is for 2020. We know what that is. We got a pretty good idea what it is for 2021. And then the other one was the last one that we were talking about, which is your untimely death, or if you're sick and you can't pay for things or you can't make your own financial decisions, what
Mm-hmm.
happens? Cover those four cornerstones. And you're not going to get them all done at once, but that's also the power of going to a professional. Because a professional will tell you, yeah, we can talk about this stock stuff all day long, but Clifton, did you know that you have your ex-wife as the beneficiary of your life insurance policy?
Right. And here's the thing: things change all the time,
All the
right?
time.
So it's not just you don't check the box off. Say, oh yeah, I talked about that 3 years ago. No, you need to review this on a regular basis because when life event happens, it's like getting a checkup every year from a doctor, right?
Actually, no, let's not do that because we're talking to a lot of black and brown people. We don't go to the doctor every year. We don't.
Okay.
We will get our car checked on more often than we'll get our body checked on.
Word.
We will take our dog to the vet who can't say, hey, buddy, yeah, this tummy thing's kind of acting up a little bit. I need you to take him to the vet. I'm also going to poop all over your floors. No, they don't tell you that. You just get poop all over the floor. Oh, I got to take him to the vet and figure out what's wrong with him. Okay. But
Okay.
we'll
Word.
ignore our heartburn for a long time. We're like, it's no big deal. I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So yes,
Got
but you have to have the regular check-ins. It goes back to that accountability buddy. Okay. Have some method in place where you go back and you check to make sure you're doing the things in alignment with your goals and in alignment with your values. And if your goals change, that's great. Make the other changes. Your values, I won't. it's hard to say that values change. They don't really change, I feel, and I'm no psychologist, or yeah, psychologist is the right one. I don't think our values change. I think they evolve. Sometimes there can be an outer catalyst that make us think about things differently, and maybe there's an abrupt change. But for the most place, they kind of just evolve. So like for me, I used to say, oh, I value wealth. I value wealth. And then I woke up one day, I was like, wait, I'm actually not wealthy yet. So I don't actually value wealth. I really value money, which is the pursuit of wealth. So my value evolved a little bit. It's like, you know what? I'm going to stop telling everybody that I value wealth, because I mean, I like to pretend that I do, but no, I value money and making money and helping other people make money and making our money make money. And if I keep valuing that, one day I'm going to wake up wealthy.
Well, let me ask you this, man. We've talked about a lot, and we can continue talking. If someone wants to get in touch with you, Yohance, to get more information, how do they get in touch with you?
So thank you for that. So the easiest and fastest place to get to me will be going to our website, which is moneyscriptwealth.com. Right there on the website, it's going to say, hey, would you like more information? That email comes directly to me. I'm the one who gets that email and it says, hey, I'd like some more information. Tell me who you are, what you're looking for. And the thing I want you to know is that anyone that wants to have some time to talk about their finances, either I'll get myself or a member of my team in touch with you so you can talk about your finances. The first consultation is always free. Okay. Whether you have 2 nickels to rub together or no nickels to rub together, the first consultation is free. From there,
So back up, hold on. I don't know if they heard that. So how much does it cost to have a valuable conversation with you regarding their goals and a probability of success? How much does it cost again?
It is free 99. That is FREE 99. It is complimentary. I will always take the time to meet with someone that wants to do better with their finances. We're good. Worst case scenario, I just tell you, here's some things that you can do to improve, and maybe come back and see me later. Or I'll say, hey, here's what it costs for us to get together. Let's do it. But I want you to know, I want you to be as engaged in your success as I am. Actually, I need you to be more engaged in your success than I am, because I can't save money for clients. I can show them, hey, here's what you need to do. I can't save the money. I can't stop them from swiping their debit card or credit card at Starbucks. But I can tell them, well, if you really want that house, maybe you should, buy a Keurig or something. By the way, I have one of those too. That's actually part of how I kicked the habit. It was like, all right, this costs less, 25% of the cost. So in closing, what I want to share with everyone is that it is never too late to start a new financial plan. You can start today. You can stop right now and say, okay, I'm ready to start a new financial plan, a new journey. Understand what your goals are, write them down, have a method to hold yourself accountable, whether it's rewards or penalties, whatever it takes. Find an accountability buddy. Make sure that your goals are reasonable, they're actionable. Look up SMART goals. That's a great way for you to do some goal planning. Okay. And then once you've got those goals down and you're starting to take action on those goals, make sure that one of the things that you do as well is you figure out what happens if things don't go as planned. Because that's one thing that COVID-19 has taught all of us, that sometimes things don't go as planned, and there could be lots of different factors that are out of our control. What is in your control are the decisions that you make from the time you stop listening to this YouTube show.
So Yohance, thank you again, man. And I want to thank all of you who tuned in and who have watched. Definitely don't keep us a secret. Go back and review this again, share it with other people. The most valuable thing you can do is take these ideas that you have, write them down, and put them into action. I also want to thank our sponsors, Comerica Bank, as well as AE Media Group, for making us look good on social media. Stay connected with us. Definitely provide your comments, like us, share us, and until we meet again, be empowered and inspired to thrive. Thank you for watching our Empower Series YouTube video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Remember to hit the subscribe button below, as well as the little button to be notified the next time we upload our video. Until then, stay connected with us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever your social media flavor is. Inspire the world to thrive. See you soon.